The fact is, when you give women rights, they destroy absolutely everything around them, no matter what other variable is involved. Even if you become the ultimate alpha male, some stupid will still ruin your life. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This week I have a bit of a lighter video. At least compared to last week. Last week was a bit of a heavier one. The amount of time I put into the channel when it comes to research, filming, and editing is directly related to my husband's schedule, which changes a lot every month. And honestly, it also varies week by week because he does medical rotations. So sometimes he has weekends off, sometimes he doesn't. And you might wonder why that might affect my schedule. And it's because, whenever he's home, I don't want to be doing YouTube related stuff. I just want to relax with him and enjoy our time together. Now, of course, sometimes when we are spending time together, I get ideas for YouTube stuff, or we're watching something interesting and I get an idea, but that's about it, I would say. The time that he isn't home, I also need to do household tasks because I need an organized house most of the time. I also have my 3 meals a day, and not to mention, I'm pregnant right now, so I get tired way more than usual, so I nap and rest a lot more than normal. In fact, I usually never nap, but that is just my life at the moment. So if you're not new here, you might see a little bit of a variation in terms of effort that goes into the videos week by week. And if you are new here, you learned a little bit about me. So thank you for sticking with me through that. Again, I know you didn't come here for all of that. So let's get into the video. Last week, as you might know, I did a bit of an exploration into the incelsphere, into the incel space of the Manosphere. The incel space is under the umbrella of the Manosphere, and within that there are many different schools of thought, and the incels are part of that. I got into specific characters within the incel space who have made significant damage in real life. And the whole time I was diving into these characters, I felt I was more diving into true crime than just normal social commentary. And through all that research, I ended up finding different forums of the online manosphere, one of which is the exRedPill forum on Reddit, and this one intrigued me. It has about 24,000 members, and to be honest, it is not the most active forum I have seen, not even within the manosphere space, but I'm not particularly surprised. I feel like people who go away from the red pill, they also start becoming a little bit less chronically online, if you know what I mean. And they go and touch some grass. Now, I have discussed the red pill in the past, but briefly, I will say again, the red pill, or taking the red pill, is essentially a metaphor for choosing to learn potentially unsettling or life-changing truth, versus taking the blue pill, which is essentially choosing to keep living in ignorance but also staying comfortable in your life. The red pill terminology is used in other spaces outside of the manosphere. I personally used it in the past when it came to politics and history and learning a lot of bitter truths about that space, about the past. However, in the past few years, because a lot of manosphere creators and personalities have become well known in more mainstream spaces, the red pill term has been associated with them, okay? And so in this context of the manosphere, the red pill could mean learning the truth about dating and relationships, specifically about learning the truth about female nature. But they tend to, a lot of the times they tend to refer to women, not as women, but as females or modern women, or sometimes femoids, depending on which part of the manosphere you're in. And there's a lot more terms to describe women, of course, that are meant to kind of dehumanize and separate women from humanity. So saying you have taken the red pill is sometimes taken as something like, I already know the truth, and therefore you cannot convince me of something that is a lie. But to be honest, the refusal to have even doubts about the red pill you have taken is simply putting yourself in another camp of ignorance. One, however, that will lead to darker places, in my opinion. And we'll get into that when I read the post I selected for the exRedPill forum. Obviously, I have said in the past, not everyone in these spaces thinks the same. But for the most part, it does seem like the majority of the rhetoric that comes from these spaces is to degrade and shame women in order to make men feel better or to even pedestalize men. There was a time where I sympathize with these guys and have the videos on there to prove it. But you know, not anymore, really. Especially the more and more comments I read. We all have problems, guys. We all do. And I've criticized feminism for this as well. Blaming a whole group of people because of their gender for your personal troubles is weak and laughable. So, now onto the forum. I found this forum. And I found the conversations very, very interesting. I would suggest you go take a look. And sensible, honestly. Some more than others, though. Some that I don't agree with. And I also found it fascinating that they had a post called, quote, Red Pill Detox First Aid Kit. Basically, this post has links to a bunch of other Reddit posts which are breaking down the bad facts the red pill uses to kind of make their points and they disseminate online. It links quite a few articles talking about the myth of the alpha male, articles from former pickup artists, and other articles that go against the primary ideas of the Manosphere red pill. And there's even a book linked in that whole post. I think it's called The Red Pill. Have not read it, but looked intriguing. I am reading a book called Men Who Hate Women, and it is about these spaces as well, and I will link that below. It is kind of disturbing though sometimes. Some of the most engaged posts of the exRedPill forum are titled 80-20 is bullshit. Women don't have high standards. They aren't that different from us, and they don't care about anything the red pill or PUA want you to think they do. Or it all comes back to one thing: sex is overrated. Or red pillars, you aren't single because you're too short, your face is ugly, or because you're not making six figures. It's because your personality is shit. Or 20-year-old chicks do not want 40-year-old guys, even if they're rich. Or all these red pill videos I used to watch and never once saw a guy blame himself for his relationship problems. Okay. There's quite a few things that I agree with in here. The last one, for example, yes, absolutely. The 20-year-old, I remember being 20, 21, and I considered a man that was in his late 20s old. The idea of dating anyone that was above 30 or God forbid about 40, my goodness. I would have never when I was in my early 20s. There's no way. Okay, so I'll read one for you guys. And one that felt gave good explanation. You know, he explained his thought process. Because some of the other ones, even though good points, even though I agree with the titles, were a bit more brief. And the better points were made in the comment sections, which made it a bit convoluted to talk about in this video. So I will link the forum below if you're interested. This post goes: 4 years ago, I found the red pill and it warped my perception of women. I'm here to warn other young men. And this goes a little bit into the path that if you consume too much red pill content can lead you down. Even after I decided to write about this, I found another post of a girl which had multiple comments beneath it with the same situation. A girl essentially describing how her boyfriend of years has gone down the red pill rabbit hole, and their relationship has really suffered because of it. And it looks like, from what I read in the comments, that multiple relationships have broken up because of this. Okay, so let me read the post for you. I try to keep this as brief as possible, but I could write pages about my experiences. I was 21 years old and in college. Like any other healthy young man, I was interested in women and I wanted to attract them into my life. The problem was that I was socially awkward and nervous around girls. I would befriend them, hang out with them for months, and then finally ask them out, only to get rejected or friend-zoned. I had no idea what I was doing. After a series of rejections, I grew angry and bitter. Why wouldn't any girl date me? Why did I keep getting rejected? I needed answers. I began to do research online and found the red pill. I quickly absorbed as much information as I could and began to be brainwashed by their dogma. Women are hypergamous. Modern women are whores, not fit for marrying. Don't ever get married because you will get screwed over by the woman and the state. Society caters to women and not men. Things really changed when I read the book called The Manipulated Man. I was emotionally vulnerable, hurt, and lonely, and this book began to cement my already negative perception of the opposite sex. I had no role models, and I needed something to guide me. Women just use men. Women are stupid while men are smart. What a contradiction there, isn't it? Women turn men into slaves. Yes, the dumb women turn the very smart men into slaves. I'm not commenting on this guy. I'm commenting on the whole idea that I do seem to hear from the Manosphere. Women wear masks and don't show their true selves. Women don't enjoy sex and just use it to get what they want. Women aren't capable of feeling true love, only men are. I took everything I read as gospel. I stopped talking to women for a while. I told myself I'd never get married or have a girlfriend. When I talked to women, it would only be to try and manipulate or quote game them into sleeping with me. It never worked. I was angry and more isolated than ever before. I began to hate women, hate what they are. I generalized every single woman I came across. I really believed that all women were the way they were described in The Manipulated Man. But you know what the most harmful thing was that I learned from the red pill? That the problem was with all women and not with me. I didn't need to change. Women didn't like me because there's something wrong with women. Society is all fucked up, not me. Women are privileged and got what they wanted. Men were the ones who got screwed over. Only years later did I realize how wrong the red pill was, how swearing off women and trying to manipulate them only hurt me and didn't help me, how not all women are the same, not all women are hypergamous that just use men for their selfish gain, how society wasn't pitted against men, that being in a relationship with a woman can be a beautiful thing, how women can love just as men can love, that the problem was never with all women, but with me. To the other young men thinking of swallowing the red pill, I have some advice for you. I encourage you not to read the red pill. But if you do, question everything you read. Not just for the red pill, but for everything you read on the internet. Be careful about making generalizations. There are billions of women on the planet. Do you really think all of them are the same? Lastly, if you're having trouble with women, look inward before you try and blame all women for your failure. The problem most likely lies within yourself. If I can help just one man who is emotionally vulnerable as I was, avoid being brainwashed by the red pill, I will consider this post worthy of writing. So based on the comments, what changed this guy's thinking eventually was interacting with more and more women and realize that in fact, we are not all the same. Just like not all men are the same. Crazy how that works, right? Despite having men in the red pill try to convince me that the red pill is not about degrading women or generalizing them and simply about empowering men, that message seems to be lost within the rest of the crap, honestly. It is clear that I'm not the only one of other people, including this guy who got the same type of messaging. Also, random, but men in the Manosphere seem to have an issue with cats. A woman having cats seemed to be a red flag. I have a cat right here. He's sleeping in bed, so consider me a red flag. Although it was my husband who rescued him. My husband rescued him. I wonder if that's still a red flag to you guys. You know, after Europe rid itself of the majority of their cats, they had the plague, so maybe don't hate on cats so much. They're very helpful. But regardless, that's unrelated. I digress. I think cats need better PR. He admits to having low self-esteem and that he kind of blamed women overall for his own failures. So I commend him for admitting that. I mean, it takes a strong person. It is way easier to point fingers than to take a hard look at yourself. He also admitted that this type of thinking landed him in a bad place. And I'm not surprised it did. I mean, life is so much better when you're living it without being bitter and obsessive about a whole group of people. Because as much as these people claim to be better than women, as much as they degrade them and shame them, they obsess over them. There's a fine line between love and hate, or maybe an unhealthy obsession with hate. And then you might think, why does this even matter? Why do these people even matter? If you don't know, maybe watch my last video and why what they talk about online has real impact on people's actions in the real world and their lives. There was some criticism in the comments about what this guy said, but essentially the critiques felt very cherry picking. Someone pointed this out. Someone said, quote, "Cherry picking common sense advice is a common manipulation made in the defense of the red pill." Yes, in fact, the red pill space, the manosphere, the incel space, the PUA space, all those spaces have grains of truth in them. And that is why a lot of people get sucked into them, because yes, you find that they are saying some things that are correct, and maybe this is correct too, but that doesn't mean that it isn't filled with lies and manipulation, which it is. It is. And also embellishment and exaggeration. I've noticed a lot of what they do is take the behavior of one woman, put it on screen, and say, see, this is what women do. We could do the same thing here. We could talk about all these true crime cases, all the shootings, all the things, and say, see, men. And of course, there are women who do that. I don't deny that. There are women who do that, and I criticize that, of course. I don't think men are over here doing that in general. I think there is more of a tendency when it comes to that in men, but at the same time, the majority of men are good people, in my opinion. But this type of thinking is becoming more and more common, or at least more out in the open, because people seem to be more accepting of it online. Okay guys, anyways, thank you so much for sticking with me while I looked into the exRedPill forum. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing, if you haven't already, to the channel for more content like this. I'd love to hear your thoughts in your comments below. What do you think about the red pill or the ex-red pill communities? Do you have any personal experiences or stories to share? And also, don't forget to check out the links in the description, including the red pill detox first aid kit guide and the post I read from. Thank you so much for watching until now and supporting this channel. It does mean a lot to me, especially with all going on with my life right now. So your engagement and your feedback keep me motivated to keep sharing content. Until next time, and take care and be kind to one another. See you in the next video.